Hey guys, DJ from PTA. I'm actually going to go over today's trades in depth because I had quite a few trades. I didn't overtrade, which was a plus for me because the other day I had a really bad overtrading last week on a few stocks. But today, July 11th, no overtrading. I actually played the chart. I was patient with my trades and I felt very good about them. They were actually really good trades all the way around. So there's a few tickers we're gonna go over a couple. Of them, I did play three of the five that I'm gonna go over, and it's actually four because I'm gonna include the spy. But we go over the spy as I always do. Again, guys, we had that good green day on the 8th, and then we had that fall off today. So we're still in that trend. Again, until we get over this line, I'm not saying anything of us being in a rally or a turnaround. This is just, to me, shorts taking profit, and we're going to continue to go down. All right, so the first stock I want to go over, one I did not play, is Kspn. This looked really, really good. I did not hit my radar just because I was too in tune to the other ones that I was playing. But let's go over the support and resistance areas. So obviously right here in this area here was some type of support. You see it bounced off of it and then broke down from and back down to the twos. This had to be some type of resistance. This previous month high at 382. I would say that this area right here, 530s, was critical simply because you had this breakdown from there, rejection, and then it held there. And then I probably would have played it off of this area here as well as being some sort of resistance. Let's make that $9. And that's that. So this would have been a breakdown area as well, seeing that it broke and washed away. So we're gonna leave that at 720. All right, perfect. So now we got all our areas. See how it rejected here. It actually rejected there and held, bounced up, took right off that area, bounced back up, and this was rejected. So give or take 729, 530s, and 280s were the key areas, okay? So breaking this down into the daily, let's go down to a 30-minute. There was really no volume coming in the pre-market. It was 4,500 pre-market. So at 9:30, you figure it wasn't really no volume. The volume didn't pick up till about 10:30 or after 10:30. And even then, it wasn't even over a million in volume, 100,000 in volume. So if I could break this down to a 5-minute for you, this from here over really wasn't a move. So this would be considered, to me, A. So let's break this down. Let's go down to a 15. Let's look at this totally from start to finish. So we had about 3, 7, 11, 13, nothing, 17, 20,000, 21,000, and 219,000. So our first leg up right here is where things got kind of interesting. And this is about 230. We had probably 240,000, 250,000. So it would have hit the radar about here on the scanners. The next leg up is when it found A in that instance right here. So from here, we raised about 3-point-something million worth in volume. So it wasn't until about 11:15 is where the stock actually started looking somewhat worth looking at. Now let's go back to that 15-minute. As you can see, we had some downward pressure. So what I do is I always draw my line. Then as you zoom out into the smaller time frames, it starts to look a little bit more clear. When I seen that 15-minute break, I know that it's going to have to be something to kick over that area to risk off of. So let's go back to the 15-minute. So my entry would have been somewhere right here, 474, 475, pushing out that needed area. So let's go here, about right there. So the entry on this would definitely have to have been right there. Pull up, the 15-minute had set, pulled in, took off. So just from here, 473 up to here was about $1 move. Took some off and then wait. As you see right here, it started to build some intraday support. So we can call that 495. It started to build some intraday support. So the open, let's say the close price of this was 497. The open price was 5. The closing price of this one was 5. And then the open price here was 499. So 495 was a key area of $5 is where they were accumulating. And then they did this pop move, pulled back, that confirmed this as support, and then you had your nice move out, pushing out the last bit of people right there at 540, and then it took off and went to 740. But again, we could have got an entry one here, or entry point here too. Now as you can see, this is 530 being the critical area off of the daily. It started building up some support between 5 and 530s, which would have been a good ideal accumulation zone for the stock after it did its pullback. So this was a nice little, what we call a sideways price action here, and then it actually got some legs here and took off. So great structure in the stock, great way to look at this stock to be able to get in and out, but you had to wait for it. Now, if someone knew something down here in the 280s, you could have played it off the 280s and it being previous day close, or previous day low or something like that. I mean, you could have played it, but it was no volume. So you definitely want to wait till players get involved. And that's the reason why this section from here up was A, because you needed to wait for the volume to actually creep in to make it make sense. You know what I'm saying? You have to have volume, you have to have players to be able to make the stock move. So this would have definitely been A for me, and that would have been your B area. And then, you could have got in your C off your line break, risking the B. Nice little rally up for $1, pull back. This would have been your major support. So this would have been done daily support right there, this line there. And then you would have had your line break here going into the 740s. Now, as you can see, as soon as it got up there to that 720 area, it started rejecting. And that's no secret, because if you go back to the daily, let me remove some of these areas. Let's go here, remove my actual entry point where I would have got in at daily. You would have sat there and looked at the daily chart and see these trend line breaks kind of line up. Big rejection area, rejection area, 530. So when you go down into the daily, even before the charts form, you can kind of see where those key areas are going to be at. So you will know, okay, cool, this 495 area is rejected. It had a bounce right back into support, resistance, and then they pulled back and caught some support between the four. Basically, this close price was 504, 495. It caught itself right there, built some more people in there, and if you want, you can look at supply and demand zones as well. In this was a clear zone, and I probably would have drew it off of this candle here and just said that, hey, this whole area here is where they were accumulating, and then took it straight from that zone or from that area. So something to think about. You can look at it multiple different ways, but that's how you should have been looking at that particular stock. So let's go over another one. The next one we're going to go over, again, this is one I didn't play. No, I'm sorry, I did play this one. It's ITRM. This was my loser. Well, it's a small loss, not a big loss, real small loss. The reason being is not playing the strategy exactly. And you know, no one's perfect. So the big area right here was right there. That was a support area. Now I don't really round off these small cents. I don't really play these a lot, so I'm not the best at them as far as price action goes. I play stuff that's got a little bit more range, but this was like the key areas that I saw coming into this. So if you broke it down, you could see right here, this is the area where it bounced and then took off. Now it built some support, and again, you want to see this was more sideways price action. Then you had a knee jerk, and then it popped up. Well, when it popped up, I slid in at around 45, 45.01. I took some off when it hit 46, and then it got the rest out at 40. So I took a small loss on it, nothing really major. A size down completely once it hit that dollar. I mean that 1 cent, and then it, you know, kind of faded, and then it respected that area again at 45 and faded for the rest of the day. So these stocks will play certain areas and then fade. So once it hits an area and you see that, like especially this strong confirmation that it was going to do a rejection and come right back close to that line and reject again, it's a great shorting opportunity on ITRM. So this was my loser. Not a big loss, but still a loser. Wanted to go over it and make sure you knew what happened while I was going in that trade. The next stock we're going to go over was VERU. Now, VERU was I played it so many times. You can see the support lines and stuff from before. It's one of those, you know, you see it pop up on the scanners doing something interesting, you want to play it. So, because it's a former runner. So, looking at the key areas, you can see that it's kind of just been channeling. So my areas would have been here. Let's go back, remove, about right there. And why it just rejected hard, reject, and then pulled away, rejected here and pulled away. So that became a critical area. Same with this previous week high, which was 15. The top of this candle, 1494, was a previous week high. So that 1494 was a critical area. You had some big rejections here, and you know you had a reject and go on the upside, reject, pull down, reject, and pull down. A little bit of congestion there, reject. So when I see that a lot, that makes it another key area. So 1395, we'll just call it 14 to be safe. So go back over here 5 minute. Let me go back to the 30 because I want to kind of show you something. What happened in this stock that made it very interesting was how it broke down. Right here was where it broke down, and then it returned right back in that area and held it right there on that 14 area. So the close price of this was $13.98. The open price of this was $13.97. So right there in that zone is right where it got a little bit interesting right there. So we'll just call it $13.95, and we'll make that purple for entry day. So this, with it being so close, when I came and looked at this, that interests me. So when it bounced and then pulled down right here on the 15, I want to show you guys something. When it did that move, this was a very steep move. So it's kind of like it was rushing into the support very hard, and then it just caught itself and ripped. So I looked at this more of like a bounce move more than anything, but it was very strategic on where I got in at, because I got in at 14.10. Okay, so my entry was 14.10 because I was waiting for something in particular when I saw this. 14.10. So let me show you how it looked on the 1 minute. So when I was playing this off of the 1 minute, what I saw was this big interesting move. And what I mean by that is I had this big down move here, real steep. And when I see a real steep move like this and then it catches itself, like it did here and pull back and then catch itself, I got in at 14.10, risking the 14. It's 10-cent risk. So why was I so confident? Well, let's take a look at this. We got pre-market high. It held. Broke, came back down. Pretty much got a little bit of messy right here at 13.95, but it came back over 14. 14 being a major area off the higher time frame. This is the reason why you want to color code your line so you'll know what time frame is it actually from. So when I saw that and it was pushing, I said if it comes back, pulls and rejects the 14, and this candle right here was the rejection candle, I'm jumping in. So I jumped in at 14.10, clearing out the rest of them shorts and thinking it was going to continue on. And that's exactly what it did. Nice move. Really nice move. And it just rallied and kept going. I mean, it went up to about 15.58. I got shares off in like the 15.30s, 15.40s. Just an excellent move all the way around. Now it look all slow and choppy on the 1 minute, but on the 5 it looks a little bit more clear. As you can see, as soon as I got in, it just kept making higher lows. Then it pulled back, and even then it still kept making higher lows. Go to the 15 minute, it just never stopped running. It never had really a pullback. This was just pretty much like consolidation to me, and then it never made or broke a higher low until they got back up here at 15.20. Ended up taking my last bit of shares here, but I got some top tick 15.35, 15.40s for sure. So this was just an excellent move. 10-cent risk. I made $1.20, $1.30 average per game. So 13-1, phenomenal move. These type of plays is what you look for, so you can nail them when they come. These are the type of plays you look at and say, okay, I'm bouncing right off of support. I'm in a critical area. These are the type of stocks. These are the type of plays you practice for, you look for, because you have such a small risk. 10-cent risk, even 5,000 shares is only $500, but you're talking about a clear $1.20 move. Just a phenomenal move all the way around. I think I did very well on that stock, on that play, and seeing the chart as it is. The next one I want to go over, which will be the last one. Now, Plrx was on radar. This is something we put out there in the Discord, even to the free members in the Discord. Hey guys, in a little bit here, we're going to be shutting down this Discord and making it part of our paid subscription. So we're trying to get as many people as we can in there before we start only subscribing it to our members. So our members use it, free people use it, but they don't get as much information as the people who are subscribing, because they get our emails, they get the email blast, so they're kind of aware of things pre-market before everyone else. Plrx is something we had in pre-market due to the movement, and if you look at the chart, you can kind of see how everything played out. So even in this area here, this other support and resistance area right here was a key area as well, 1580. So when I took a look at this stock, I was more so looking at just the overall support and resistance off of the daily, right? So when the stock opened up, it had a big rally, which made it on our radar. As we always do, we take a look at stocks and we wait for key areas. So the first area was right here. When the stock came back, and I want to show y'all this so you can kind of see, it was right there. It was where I took my first trade. I want you to kind of look at this so you can see it on the 1 minute. Right here, and this line was drawn a little bit closer to here. It's like that. Right here, the stock respected, and give me a second here. About right there. When I don't see my stock get violated, and I seen this major consolidation, this created support. So let's talk about that. This is major support off of the daily. This right here was intraday support. put this here in purple. It was 1875 was the area I was looking at. It rejected. So I put my order about right here at 1921, somewhere around there. So my first entry was 1921. We had this big burst, which I thought it was going to collapse or pull this way and go that way. But it moved so fast with so much volume that I was like, nope. So I ended up taking some shares off, took everything off, and put my stop loss behind here, which was 1856. So it popped up, came back, and it kept hovering this area. They tried to risk it again, pop it up, didn't get it. And then it started slowly creeping back up. And what I ended up doing when it popped up and went back and popped back up in here, I just took everything off when I seen that it was consolidating and broke back down. When it did this break back down to 1922 and all that, when I knew I got in around that area, I just broke even. Right there. Because this wasn't sustainable. So it kept going sideways for the day. Now I want you to see how I respected this 1875 area until late in the day. This is how they crushed everybody. Right here in this candle. This was, the volume was right up there comparative to where it slammed it again. Came right back in that area. Shorts was in that area. They slammed it. So when they slammed it, remember, major support is 1830. So when I seen it do this number and then stall out right here at 1790, pull back up and treated this area as support, that's when I became super interested in this again. So 1790 was intraday support. So it came up and then pushed above weekly support, what now acts as resistance, now becoming new support. When it rallied back up, it just was moving entirely too fast. So when it did that, it pulled and ripped very, very hard. Now I wanted it at this 1875 area because I knew that was critical. I didn't get in, which, just have to play the chart like you see it, is at 2021. Now why? Well, with this major move and missing it, I knew I had to wait for A. So let's go over that. I knew I had to wait for A. This was A. So I had to wait for it to form, then find support. This was support here. This is where it bounced from support. So let me show y'all that on the chart. Right here was support. So it had made another intraday support. So now they have all these people up on the 1930 below. Now think about that. 1930 is the same area where it broke down before. So it's no secret, it's like a repetitive pattern. So 1930 was support, bounce, bounce, bounce. And then once it found support, it came back up and then pulled back. When I saw this, and it was in particularly this candle here at 3 o'clock, is when I started saying, oh, they about to reverse this. This one, it started to get kind of interesting. Because at this point, I'm seeing this. This is what I'm seeing in my eyes. So what made me get in was right here at 2021. Because heck, I was only risking 20 cents. About right there. So right here is where I entered in my second position in 2021. And then after that, I just let it rip. Now, I don't really carry or hold shares overnight. So I was paying attention to the zones. So what happened is once it got over 2021 and kept going, I looked at the higher time frames and got, I would be honest with y'all, let it rip. So when it came up here to the 2235s, you know, right here, and look at this. This is high a day. I was looking for a slam. I was looking for a clear out slam. So that being high a day, let's paint that yellow. This being high a day, and it's approaching high a day before the market close, I'm getting out. So I got out at about 2235 right there. Upticked it up, and then sure enough, they bounced it, slammed it, and then rounded it back 2417, and now it's starting to form. So I hit this trade twice, which was what made this really a good trade, good day, because I was patient on both one of those trades, and I saw the stock forming from all angles. From there, I was able to make that decision to say, you know what, this is where we're at. This is what's gonna make this one a good stock, a good play, and I killed it twice. So I normally don't play a stock twice like that, but it was just the setup was there. It was just there for the taking. So that 2021 was a really good, solid trade, getting in at that point. But I had to play it off support and resistance. I had to wait for it to form before we even be able to play it. So that's where that patience piece come in at. Because ideally, I played it earlier and it snapped up, and I got in and out. But the actual trade, the formation of the trade, fully didn't happen till later in the day, till after 3 o'clock, when the stock was actually formed, when the stock was actually ready to go. That's when I took that second trade. And I mean, it was a great trade all the way around. I was comfortable. I knew exactly where I wanted to get in at, and I just saw it. I saw everything forming in such a way that made it make sense. So just with the sheer price action and everything dealing with this stock made it that much interesting too. Because you got to put this in perspective. This stock, let me put in the numbers. I mean, this stock rotated its flow 2 times, maybe 3 times almost. Let's see, 83.